Okay, we've got audio, I hope. Let me see. Audio. Audio, yes, we're good. Hello, looks like this is starting in muted mode. That's great. Muted mode. Fantastic, sound is good. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show on Rumble. I'll go ahead and I'll restart the chat. Oh, it did say one person was watching over there. Okay. A lot of my older viewers are no longer coming to the shows anymore, for whatever those reasons might be. Maybe they'll see that I'm live at some point and they'll show up. Watching the left start to grasp Trump supporters is hilarious. So we were watching Michael Merconish this morning. Michael Smerconish. And he was talking at first about, he felt that this mugshot thing was, very, it was, very prominent, and a lot of people were looking at it, and that they, it wasn't going to be long before people were going to be wearing the t-shirts, and he had a person there was reading emails from people, and people saying that, Donald Trump deserves his free speech, and then somebody else said, whatever, and then Smerconish actually said, it's like the mugshot is helping and bringing him, notoriety and making him, and I'm sitting there with my girlfriend and I'm like, duh, you're
Mike Pasquarello. Hey, bro.
Hey, guys, you're just entertaining this idea right now. You're really just looking at this right now. I mean, at what point are the Democrats going to figure out and CNN going to figure out that they are helping Donald Trump by promoting all this stuff?
Hey, nay.
And it's like they care, and their opinions, when they spout their opinions, it's like it really bothers them, and it's Trump, 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 Trump. But when you look at their actions, it's like Trump, 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 and showing you Trump and all that. And you're like, your actions and your words don't match. So is it a psychosis? Is it denying? Are you in denial? Are you do you just don't get it? Are you really just that dumb? Or do your allegiances cause blindness? And that's what it really is. Because if you start speaking the truths to people who don't want to hear it, you don't become marketable anymore. And people don't want to hear those truths. They don't want to hear that this is making Trump stronger and more powerful. They don't want to hear that his crazy audience is getting more into this and laughing their asses off and getting more people on board. And that's what's happening. Sheer numbers, maybe that worked in the last election. But I think that the Democrats are losing numbers every day. And the dumber they act, the more people are going to turn their backs on them. And they don't need those people to stop voting Democrat and to go vote Republican. They just need those people to stop voting Democrat. And then Trump's got it. And like me, that did this a long time ago with these elections, I have a feeling there's a lot more people that are going to be doing that. And without all people like me's help, this could very easily go to Donald Trump. I have no question in my mind. Nobody knows how this election is going to go this time around. But the Democrats and Biden are certainly acting and pretending like they got this one all wrapped up, aren't they? Like they don't have to do anything. All Biden has to do is just not make any waves and say that Donald Trump's a handsome man and just keep a low profile and stay locked in the basement and everything will be just fine. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it one bit. You got your dabs out, bro? Never too early for dabs, that's what I say. Never too early for mustard gas. That's what I say. Chili Dog, hello. I wonder how much of a dab I want to do. I mean, how much can you really inhale, Legitimately without wasting it. That's the thing. Mustard gas. Mustard gas. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this heated up and ready to rock. I'm just going to smoke what's on there. A little bit. Tasty. I just hate wasting good oil, man. Okay, 6:30, so 7:30. We're in at 7:30 here. Waiting for the chaotic map. Waiting for the chats to populate here. I've got 14 people on YouTube and nobody chatting. What's up with that, man? I'm just going to do all these over again. What's this one? Display capture. That's weird. We'll get rid of that. That one
Michael
says,
Willis.
That says Rumble chat on it.
Dab time.
Hey, Michael. Okay, no law regarding cannabis. Cheers, everybody. Michael, Chili, Mike, and nobody else. Okay, cheers to everybody. If you're here, man, just let me know in the chat so I can say hello to you.
Mike Pasquarello. Cheers. Chili dog. Cheers.
Oh, yeah. That's a great dab. Mm-hmm.
Heavy Padilla. Cheers.
Heavy P. What's up, buddy? Wow, the YouTube is blowing away the Rumble today. And we are talking about Trump supporters in a positive light. I'm surprised nobody's showing up on the Rumble.
Heavy Padilla. Not much.
Okay, so, oh, KGB. Yeah, you still have me blocked over on YouTube. KGB 420, why did I block you on YouTube? KGB 420? Do you remember? Do you want to be unblocked? On the main, was it on the main YouTube channel? I'm going to have to unblock you on YouTube and on the restream. KGB. Hi, Lusta. KGB 420, you're not going to answer me. What did I block you for? It's Killer GB. Alright, hold on. I blocked you and didn't unblock you? You must have really been talking some shit, bro. That was the day we were disagreeing about gender shit. I remember that. I thought I unblocked you from that. I thought I just saw you in the show the other day. It must have been on another channel. God, how long is this block list, bro? I may have unblocked you on the restream and not done it on the YouTube. I don't see it on here, dude. I'm going through it. I do not see you on this list. I'm removing some of the stupid fucking names on here that aren't going to be reused again. It makes it easier when I have to go through and try to find one of you guys. Killer GB 420, found it. I found it. Okay, so let me check the YouTube next. The YouTube, God, the YouTube's going to be a pain in the ass, too. It was on Twitch or Rumble, not YouTube. All right. I'm going. Let me see. Settings, community, hidden users. I'm deleting a bunch of fucking... I'm not deleting you, motherfucker. I'm deleting a bunch of fucking names. Alright, let's see here. God forbid they have a fucking alphabetizer,
Dave
you know,
Fishing.
so we could find these names
Morn.
faster. Hey, Dave. Let's see, bro. Were you being a twat, or were you and I just disagreeing on some shit? I mean, you may not have. I know that you and I have disagreed on some shit. It's just opinion. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you came in and you were being a dick, well, okay. I'll accept your apology. I just don't remember. I mean, I know you've come in kind of drunk sometimes and shit. Or whatever it was. I'd love to have these block lists completely clear. I mean, this is nobody that I need in the fucking chat. I mean, all these names are just one or two people just making a whole bunch of fucking names, and it just clogs up my fucking chat list, my block list. Alright, let's keep scrolling through. I've deleted a few. They should let you block IP addresses. I know, fuck YouTube, dude.
Michael Willis. Dump them all, start over.
It should be, you can't just dump them all, dude. You gotta click each one individually. It takes forever. You can't just clear the block list. It would be too easy for them to have a button that would do that. You know? But, you know, re-engineers, dude, they can't think straight. They're too busy jerking off to their fucking paychecks. You know, as they realize that they do nothing and get paid for it. They make shit worse and get paid for it. I don't see you on the YouTube block list, bro, but I'm going through it. There's hundreds of names on it.
Michael Willis.
That
sucks.
Try to say something in YouTube, 420, Killer GB. See if you can get in. Yeah, search option would be great too. But just see if I've already removed you from the YouTube. Just test it. You might save me a lot of time here because I'm just going through and lifting all
Killer
of these.
GB 420.
Hey, okay, cool.
I am here.
So we're done. Okay, cool. I'll save what I've done. Excellent. All right. Thank you. Thank you. We're good. So, you're
Killer
unblocked.
GB 420. Saying something.
Yeah, it's funny. We used to want to boost those show numbers, and now we just want accurate show numbers, right? I used to love it when you guys would double, triple, quadruple log in from different accounts. It would make the numbers look bigger because we were so desperate. And now it's like, no, now I want to know exactly how many people are watching, at any given moment. I have set the mustard gas aside. Oh, here it is. I couldn't find it. It's outside my purview. The mustard gas was outside my purview. We've gotten chats from just a few of you, a handful. And there's 21 people, 24 people watching. Come on, folks. Good morning, Dave Fishing. Anybody else want to say anything in the chats? Please, feel free. Interject. Give me some content if you've got some. If you've got something you want to say. If you've got something you want to hear me talk about today. Now would be the time, guys. Drop it right in there. What do you got? Anything? There's not a lot going on, right? There's not a lot going on news-wise. Okay, here you go. Sidney Powell has requested a speedy trial. Out of 19 defendants, only 2 of them have requested a speedy trial. What does that say to me? It says to me that Sidney Powell is completely separated from Donald Trump. Completely cut off. And she knows it. And, they're no longer affiliated with each other. And she doesn't want to be a part of that group. Now, Sidney Powell is one of the guiltiest of all the people. She's one of the worst offenders. Just complete lying. And if lying was illegal, she'd already be in prison. But I don't know how many laws she's guilty of breaking, misrepresenting, truth and shit. But as a lawyer, she might, lose. She might be disbarred. I wouldn't be surprised if she's already disbarred. She can get in more trouble. She's done some awful shit, and she had no crack. The only crack in getting released is the crack in being released on her. All right, I've got a dab ready to go here. $24.30. Bong hit and you playing some jams sounds great to me. Jastig 68, right on. Cool. Good morning, everybody. So, just a bong hit and guitar. That's all you want. You guys want to talk about anything? So that's going on with Sidney Powell. She's got one other defendant that is also requesting a speedy trial along with Sidney Powell. You guys watched the Decoder show with Grandpa? I didn't see that. I don't understand that whole numbers thing. But if you guys want to talk about that or anything, bring it up. There's 30 of you here, guys. Feel free to say hello. No, I'm fine. Thank you, baby. All right. Cheers. No longer going to get him, everybody.
Heavy Padilla. Cheers.
I started the laundry. Got your other pair in there. Are you online?
Yeah. You want a dab? Okay. Mustard gas, baby.
Please. I need it.
I'm just coughing from my last one. So
Peanut butter
flavorful.
jelly.
Yeah, peanut butter
Doesn't it
jelly
taste
time.
just like peanut butter. I mean, look like peanut butter.
Looks like Jif. Choosy moms choose
Jif.
mustard gas.
So
2740. Make up a song about Trump, Sidney, and Rudy giving the shaft back to the deep state. Well, that's the problem, Jastag, is Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani didn't give a shaft back to the deep state. I don't know if you've noticed. Trump is the only one that's coming up smelling like roses. He doesn't seem to care about all the other people that were trying to help him. And number two, Sidney and Rudy are just went to jail. How is it looks like society and the deep state are giving Rudy and Sidney the shaft. So what are you even talking about, Jastag? I don't get it. Can you explain exactly what you just explain it to me so I understand? How are Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani, who's just run out of money and can't even afford his own legal defense, how exactly are they giving the deep state the shaft? Cheers, baby. Just don't touch that. Oh, you good? Okay, cool.
I don't have iron lungs like you.
Baby, what you didn't hit? Oh my God, I got a huge hit. Look what I got out of this.
Oh my God. It's hard to see them.
I think I know how we're dabbing from now on. I'm just going to put a big dab on, let you hit it, and as soon as you're done, I'm going to finish it. Jastag, no response to that, huh? See, this makes it hard for me when you guys don't respond. When you say something, and I want to interact with you guys. I mean, you want to see Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani in jail is just optics? No, it's not optics. They've been charged with crimes and they're going to court over it. It's not optics. I don't know who you listen to, Jastag68, or where you get your information from, but I'm assuming you and I are both the same age, and I just don't understand how we could have lived in the same timeline and you just not have the information that would allow you to see truth. Q Mill Intelligence PSYOPs? No, not Q Mill Intelligence PSYOPs. No. No. Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani broke the law. Simple as that. They've been charged, and now they're going to have to go to court. And Rudy Giuliani actually had a problem paying for his legal defense, and he had to go to a bail bondsman. Rudy Giuliani going to a bail bondsman is the deep state giving Rudy Giuliani the shaft. And for you to look at this any other way is you not being able to deal in reality. Now, you want to say Donald Trump's coming out of this smelling like roses. We'd be able to talk about that because he is. But see, because you're so distracted by whatever it is you're believing or whatever it is somebody told you about Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani, it's distorting your ability to look like a legitimate adult to me right now. And if you and I are the same age, it seems like you've been locked up for years or something, and you missed out on a whole lot of just experiencing life. So, you have not given me a single actual answer. All you said was, in jail is just optics, and Q Mill, which I don't understand what you mean. Q Mill intelligence psyops. I don't know what you mean by that. But what I want you to do is show me how Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani are giving the shaft back to the deep state. Your words. Go. We're just trying to we're making progress here by coming to truths together. We have to reach these truths together, right? And that's how we make progress on this live show. Nobody else wants to chime in about this, and I'm glad, because what that tells me is no one else believes that Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani are shafting the deep state. When you said Trump, you should have stopped at Trump. But when you put Sidney and Giuliani in there, you've completely destroyed your own narrative. Sidney told us. Okay, baby. She's got to get her coffee. Sidney told us all about Scytl and Frankfurt server seizure. Yeah, and was that I don't get it. What's that mean? Scytl and Frankfurt server seizure. What's that mean? She told you all about something. Is that shafting the deep state somehow? I mean, if the deep state was getting shafted right now, I don't think we'd be at a war.
Hoot in hell. Not being Trump at all. Hated him long before he ran for Democratic president.
I don't think we'd be funneling all of our cash to Ukraine if the deep state was in such a disarray right now from getting shafted by Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani, who just needed a bail bondsman, and Sidney Powell, who nobody takes seriously anymore. They take Sidney Powell as seriously as they take the MyPillow guy, Mike Lindell. You, Jastag68, are in a horrible state of denial of reality. You need to bust out of it. Election fraud. Okay, to the tune of what? Was it to the tune of 8 million votes? What was the difference? Was it 6? I think it was 6 million votes difference, right? So was this what did you say, Scytl and Frankfurt server seizure? Did this show like the 6 million vote difference between the Biden Trump election? There was a difference of 6 million votes, right? So I'm assuming that she exposed 6 million votes, right? On a single server. I don't know what you're even fucking talking about. Should I Google this shit? Let me see what comes up. Since you're not telling me, I'll find out. Scytl. Skittle fruit flavored candies. Scytl, Frankfurt. Yeah, it's funny. When you put in the word Scytl, Frankfurt, you know what comes up? Frankfurt. Frankfurt Airport. Frankfurt, Germany. Frankfurter. Frankfurter Allgemein. Frankfurt School. Frankfurt AM. Frankfurt Stock. Frankfurt Time. Isn't that weird? Something that should be so pivotal. You'd think it would be all over the internet. This was a Bing search I did. I believe. Let me find out. Yes, it was a Bing search. Wow, I have a lot to learn about fraud. Well, why don't you teach me? Are you going to teach me, Jastag? Because
Nay, have you heard that Oliver Anthony guy yet?
No. Who's Oliver Anthony? And this is kind of interesting, Jastag, because you are saying that I have to learn about fraud, but Joe Biden is the fucking current president of the United States. He's the one running around doing all the shit. So maybe you have to learn about reality. You ever watch a football game? Let me ask you a question, Jastag68. You ever see a sporting event? Any sporting event at all. Soccer, football, hockey, I don't care. Anywhere where there's referees. You ever see, or boxing match even, have you ever seen a sporting event? I'm going to go with yes, because we're the same age, I'm assuming. Right, Jastag? Okay. My question to you would be, have you ever seen a team lose based on a bad call? Like the ref, the one who got to decide for everybody. The ref was like, that's not what I saw. I saw this. And everyone's like, dude, it's on video. And the ref's like, it's up to me. I don't care. I know what I saw. You know, the ball was out of bounds. Everyone's like, the ball was in bounds, dude. I saw the ball out of bounds. I'm calling it out of bounds. Other dude wins. Other player wins. You might have a lot to learn about reality. Because sometimes, even if you're right about, 6 million votes, that, there's no way that you can ever come up with them and prove them. Donald Trump was just trying to come up with 11,780 votes.
Not into country.
11,779 votes. Sure. He just needed 80 so that he could have one more vote in that one area. But the number was actually 6 million overall, the whole country. So even if he just won one state, it wasn't going to be enough. Do you know how long it would take to get from 11,000 to 6 million? So let's say you did it. I'll give you that. Hey, guess what? They bested you. Their referee said, no, I saw the ball out of bounds, and I'm saying Biden's the president. That's it. That's all you have to know. You got fucked. There's nothing you can do to change it. And whether what you believe happened or not, doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Joe Biden's the guy sitting in the Oval Office saying that Donald Trump's a handsome guy. What are you going to do about it? Oh, that's right. You're not going to do anything about it. So stop wasting your time on shit you have no control over. The referee already called the game. Why is that so hard for somebody to understand? Whether you're correct or not, the referee disagreed with you. Biden is now the president. Accept it. Nothing. You tried January 6th and you failed. Okay. Nothing you can do about it. Now what are you going to do? You're going to have to wait 2 more years and run an election again and hope that your team wins this time. And maybe the referee will decide in your favor. Maybe the swayed election will work for you. You know what I do? I don't vote. So it's not my fucking problem. I look at people like you and I just shake my head. And I'm like, how much of your life do you waste on this bullshit? Think, where the fuck are you spending time that you're convinced that Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell are going to jail, getting booked for crimes they've committed, and Giuliani not even be able to make his bail is somehow them winning? It's psychotic. And anybody watching this with any kind of common sense is going to see that as psychotic. So you say, Jastag68 says, Deep State runs your search engines. Research this. Where is Gina Haspel? Who is she? Servers seized from the CIA supporting foreign election interference. You're close. I'm age 54. There's too much election theft proof to type here. Enjoy your day, my friend. Jastag, you enjoy. It was fun. You enjoy your day too. Love you.
Speakista. Thank you, Nay, for speaking the truth.
You're welcome, Spike.
Guess you're gonna lose those Truth Social viewers now.
No, that's the beautiful thing about them. They'll say what she said or he said. They'll say, you're close. I'm age 54. There's too much election theft proof to type here. Enjoy your day, my friend. It was very cordial. And these people you can have a conversation with and you can disagree with, and they're okay with that. They're like, you believe what you want to believe. You did try to prove your point to me. I'm going to think about that, but fuck you for now, and I'll see you on the next time, or I'm going to hang out and keep watching you. They're great. It's, what is it? It's the middle of the day on a Saturday. I'm not expecting a large group of people here. If it was an evening show, maybe more.
Very good then, that's refreshing.
But I got to tell you, the numbers are great. 32, 35 people watching right now. across all my channels that I can see. I don't know how many are on Odyssey. I don't even know if Odyssey works or what. I haven't even been over there. But, because Odyssey doesn't bounce back to the chat, so I don't know if anybody's over there. And I don't get a chat number from Odyssey. It's an RTMP poll link, which means I don't get a referral cookie. So I don't get the information what's going on their website. So that's great. You know, the best part I liked about that whole conversation I just had with Jastag68 was not a single other person tried to chime in and bolster what they were saying. I'm a little sad that none of you on at Rumble agreed with me. Gina Haspel. You want me to look at you? I don't know. Why don't you just tell me who Gina Haspel is? Why don't you just tell me who Gina Haspel is instead of playing these games with me, Jastag68? Don't make a bunch of hoops, set them on fire, and then ask me to jump through them.
Speakesta.
Please. Just
Would
if
it
you
be
know
better
something,
with
say
fewer
it.
YT channels for you to consolidate views, or does it help spread
You've
the
talked about a
viewership?
server. I put their names in. It doesn't even come up. Oh, wait. No. I take that back. I'm looking right here on Bing, and I don't know how I missed this. It says CIA hacking base in Frankfurt, WikiLeaks, DW. WikiLeaks released a trove of CIA documents on Tuesday that it claimed revealed details of its secret hacking arsenal. The release included 8,761 documents. This is from DW.com. I don't know what DW.com is. Let me see who... Oh, they've got... Wait. I don't know who DW is. They could be a total weird site. About DW, who we are. Germany's international broadcaster and one of the most successful international media outlets. We provide impartial news and information, giving people worldwide the opportunity to form their own opinions. Okay, let's see if that's true by reading this article. WikiLeaks released a trove of CIA documents on Tuesday that it claimed revealed details. This is from, the date of this article is... Oh, this is from 2017. I'm not worried about 2017, am I? Is this what you're talking about? I think we're good here. I don't think this is it. Ed Snowden. It doesn't say anything about voting in there. They do talk about hacking. Smartphones. I'm just skimming it, guys. I don't see anything about voting in here, so I don't think this is what you were talking about. That's cool. Anyway, that's cool. You know, I think that was a dead end, but whatever it is you want me to look at, yeah, I don't mind looking at. What's that?
We can share that.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
What kind did you get?
The dark Dunkin' Donuts. I think
Oh, yeah?
it was.
Really dark?
I think so. You told me at one time it said dark on it, so I don't know if it's the same one. You don't like that one, or do you?
It's good.
Good.
Yeah, it's good. You want some more mustard gas?
Oh, yes. I gotta remember what you're talking about. Because when you say that word, I don't know what you're talking about. See, I can smell a little, and that's a good ass sign. Man, that stuff smells good.
All right. Sorry. No, wait. This is what we gotta do here.
Oh, Megan, I am so proud of her right now. She called me up crying yesterday. Oh.
That's perfect. Perfecto. So I'm going to let you hit this like before, and then I'm going to hit it.
Okay. So don't worry about blowing it out. Because I don't have
Don't worry about clearing the chamber.
Okay.
But you don't have to clear the chamber on this anyway. It's so tiny. You can clear it in 1 second. Does it help to spread the viewership? Spike Hester, that's a great question. It hurts a little bit to have multiple channels on YouTube. It does hurt. But I do pick up a few extra viewers every, like, one a year. Not a lot. But I do ask people to come over and come to the main channel, which they do. 40, we're going to do, let's do 47. 47 will be good. So, okay, let's move on to the next thing. I guess I should try to act like I actually have, like, control over my own podcast. Oh, we could talk about DeSantis a little bit, I guess. Yeah. Trump versus free speech. Let's watch that.
It's a witch hunt. It's free speech. It's political activity. Won't someone please think of the First
Good in
Amendment?
hell.
Special Prosecutor
Cheers.
Jack Smith has indicted Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. for conspiracy to subvert the presidential election results, and Trump is predictably not too happy about it.
Cheers,
He tweeted
Hoot
out on
now.
Truth
Welcome
Social,
back.
"If you go after me, I'm coming after you." In response, the DOJ filed a motion for protective order that would prevent Trump from disclosing discovery materials to the public. Now, Trump says this motion was actually a blanket gag order that would prohibit him from exercising his free speech, and a hearing was held on August 11th. Now, in addition to all the motion practice that's happening before trial, Trump and his lawyers say that everything that Trump said in the run-up to January 6th is protected political speech and therefore can't be the basis of criminal charges. Now, Trump has said a lot of things in the context of January 6th. Does he actually have a First Amendment free speech defense? Well, to start with, speech is generally protected under the First Amendment unless it falls within one of the few categories of unprotected speech. Now, we'll get into those categories in a few minutes because when you're talking about Trump, those categories actually come up with quite a bit of frequency. But first, let's talk about why Trump says his words and actions are protected speech. The Supreme Court considers political and ideological speech to be at the core of the First Amendment, including speech concerning, quote, politics, nationalism, religion, or other matters of opinion. Now, Trump says that he's being persecuted for political speech. In the indictment, the prosecutors accused him of communicating
They're gonna think
with
I'm
other
some
people
kind of
in
a
an
dish
intent to
Nazi
overturn the
now.
election.
It's not me,
And
guys.
here's how the
It's my
alleged
mom.
conspiracies work.
She's a dish
Before the
Nazi.
general election, the political parties from each state
I don't like to
choose
talk
their
about
own
it.
potential electoral college electors. After the votes are in, each state prepares certificates of ascertainment that are authenticated with the government signature, and the indictment
But
accuses
it's
Trump
true.
and his allies of conspiring to prepare fake
Hey, there's
certificates in 7
Giuliani right
states
there. Look at
have
that.
lost: Arizona, Georgia,
Speak
Michigan,
of the-
Nevada,
speak of the man
New
himself.
Mexico, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. And Trump's plan depended on Vice President Mike Pence using those certificates to block or delay Congress from recognizing Biden's victory. Now, Trump's lawyer, John Lauro, told CNN that, quote, "This is an attack on free speech and political advocacy, and there's nothing that's more protected under the First Amendment than political speech." Now, I agree with Lauro that Trump generally has a right to lie about the election results forever if he wants to. However, Lauro goes even further than that, saying that Trump had a free speech right to ask Pence and others to take action on his behalf. Lauro often defended Trump by claiming that his extra-legal demands were aspirational.
That was an hold on one second. That was an aspirational ask.
Now, Trump claims that there's no harm in just asking Pence to do something that might hypothetically break the law or at least be against the law. Lauro says that the Biden administration has criminalized the free speech of prior administration and that it is particularly egregious because it's happening while there is a political election happening. To Trump, it looks like the government is trying to stop him from expressing his political opinions. Now, Trump's defenders used the same defense during his second Senate impeachment trial. The House January 6th committee recommended that Trump be charged with violating the seditious conspiracy statute because of the speech he gave to the protesters at the Ellipse. The seditious conspiracy law, 18 U.S.C. 2383 and 2384, make it a crime when someone, quote, incites, sets on foot, assists, or engages in any rebellion or insurrection against the authority of the United States. Now, historically, the government has used sedition charges to shut down political dissent, especially during times of war. And Trump is right that we don't want the government to persecute people because of their political speech. That's why today it's extremely hard to convict someone of inciting violence based on their opinions. We've covered incitement law a bunch of times on this channel. It's very difficult to prove under the Brandenburg test. And although
I wonder if he's going to say, but Donald Trump said, we're going to stop the steal. I wonder if he's going to talk about that. That'll be interesting. I've been talking about that for a couple of years.
Though the First Amendment does not protect speech that incites imminent lawless action, it does protect speech that advocates overthrowing the government in abstract terms. Whether the speech really does incite imminent lawless action is a hard nut to crack, which is probably why Special Prosecutor Jack Smith did not charge Trump with seditious conspiracy. Most people think that he probably did this to avoid Trump's First Amendment defense. But Smith still used Trump's words as evidence that he committed other crimes. Now, is he allowed to do that? Well, the government anticipated that Trump would make the case about free speech. So the indictment begins by making the distinction between First Amendment and criminal conduct. Quote, the defendant had a right, like every American, to speak publicly about the election and even to claim falsely that there had been outcome determinative fraud during the election and that he won. He was also entitled to formally challenge the results of the election through lawful and appropriate means, such as by seeking recounts or audits of the popular vote in states or filing lawsuits, challenging ballots and procedures. Now, this is the Justice Department, so you are allowed to take their statements of fealty to the First Amendment with a grain of salt. But Trump lost the lawsuits that he filed, and the indictment says that Trump tried to overturn the election by illegal means. Quote, shortly after Election Day, the defendant also pursued unlawful means of discounting legitimate votes and subverting the election results. Now, this is the heart of the disagreement between Trump and the Department of Justice. Trump World's argument boils down to the idea that words can't be crimes. And that definitely misunderstands the issue in most of criminal law. As former Trump Attorney General Bill Barr explains.
As the indictment says, they're not attacking his First Amendment right. He can say whatever he wants. He can even lie. He can even tell people that the election was stolen when he knew better. But that does not protect you.
I bet you guys hate to hear that from Bill Barr. God, I bet you guys hate Bill Barr. If you hate Bill Barr, give me a 1 in the chat. Hey, Cherise, if you hate Bill Barr for what you just heard him say, it's so funny because that's exactly what we were talking about before.
You from entering into
give me a 1 in the chat.
All conspiracies involve speech, and all fraud involves speech.
Now, Barr is saying that there's no First Amendment protection for speech made in service of a crime. So let's talk about that. Now, not all speech is protected by the First Amendment. For example, defamatory statements are not protected. Now, Trump knows this because, for some reason, he's always saying he wants to make it easier for people to sue for defamation. And, he does actually file a fair number of defamation lawsuits. And earlier this year, he lost a defamation case after E. Jean Carroll sued him for claiming that he did not rape her. And on the other side of the coin, Trump has actually won defamation suits against people like Stormy Daniels and was successfully able to file an anti-SLAPP motion against her. Now, false statements may form the basis of other legally cognizable harms such as fraud, false advertising, or perjury. And Trump has been sued for fraud before. In 2016, he settled a lawsuit which alleged that Trump University made false claims about being affiliated with accredited universities, lied about Trump handpicking instructors, and lied about passing on valuable real estate secrets. Now, that kind of commercial speech has fewer First Amendment protections when someone makes false statements. And if the government can prove it has a substantial interest in making sure consumers aren't deceived, it can regulate certain types of commercial speech. And on top of that, things
Grandpa
that
just
qualify as
posted
speech
on
often
Truth Social,
constitute
everybody.
what are called legal acts. Yeah, think about it. Speech is often how we accomplish stuff. We tell people what we want and what we want them to do. And generally, the First Amendment doesn't protect speech, quote, used as an integral part of conduct in violation of a valid criminal statute. Now, this is why the government is allowed to prohibit solicitation to commit a crime, or conspiracy to commit a crime, or impersonating a government officer. In each of these crimes, it involves speech, but a prosecutor can use a person's words as evidence that they committed that crime. For example, if a bank robber demands that a bank teller hand over the money, the statements aren't protected speech. Those words form the basis of the crime that's being committed. And under Trump's interpretation of the First Amendment, the bank robber could argue that when he gave the teller a note demanding money, it was merely a suggestion.
Free speech.
Aspirational, to use
I would like it, this bank would look much nicer if it was minus about $500,000
punishes a person for lying
in a
under oath.
bag
Other crimes like knowingly making
on
a
this
false
counter
statement
in
to
front
law
of me.
enforcement in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1001
I'm
would
just
also be off
saying
the
it.
books. And unfortunately for Trump, soliciting another individual to commit a crime is not protected by the First Amendment. For example, in United States versus Williams, the Supreme Court considered whether to protect
you guys,
abridged First Amendment freedom of speech by outlawing.
I want you all to know something. I have a lot of respect for this lawyer, and I agree with most of what he's saying. At the same time, if Donald Trump gets convicted of anything, he's not going to go to jail, and he's still going to run for president, and he's going to be able to go and do a lot to reverse all of this shit when he becomes president. So you've got really, this is not going to keep people from voting for him, whether he gets convicted of this shit or not.
Advocacy of child
He's fine.
pornography, but only offers to provide or requests to obtain it. The opinion goes on to say that
Hey, Deerslayer, he doesn't like Bill Barr.
such as laws against
Bill
conspiracy,
Barr.
incitement, and
He didn't like
solicitation,
old Bill
criminalize
Barr.
speech, commercial or not, that is intended to induce or commence illegal activities. And another case that's on point is the 1915 case of United States versus Mosley that dealt with a conspiracy by 2 Oklahoma County Election Board officials to omit certain legal votes from the official count. The men were charged with conspiracy under 18 U.S.C. 241, which is one of the statutes that Trump allegedly violated. And in that case, the court observed that although 241 was enacted to stop the Ku Klux Klan, quote, the statute dealt at the time with all federal rights of all citizens and protected them all and still continues to do so. The county officials engaged in multiple conspiracies. First, they agreed not to count certain votes. Second, they met in secret without the knowledge of the third member of the Board of Elections for the purpose of carrying out the conspiracy. And third, they committed overt acts towards achieving their goals. The 2 men met and used speech to hatch their plan, but that doesn't mean that their actual conspiracy was protected by the First Amendment. And to be clear, Trump really can't be punished for saying, I think I won, and Pence should block the certification. But he can be charged for soliciting another person to commit a crime. So it would follow that if Trump solicited fake electors to submit forged certificates with the goal of stopping the certification, then it's fine to charge him with conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding under 18 U.S.C. 1512. And the government still has to prove all the elements of the case for each of those charges. Laurel suggests that a person cannot be guilty of conspiracy if their verbal acts solely consist of political speech protected by the Constitution, which has a kernel of truth, but is also kind of wrong. It relies on Hammerschmidt versus United States, where the Supreme Court overturned a conviction against Thomas Hammerschmidt and 12 others who had been handing out pamphlets urging men not to register for the Selective Service Act. Now, the act authorized the government to temporarily expand the military through conscription, and the men were convicted of conspiracy to defraud the United States in violation
Wow.
of 18 U.S.C. 371. By the way, there are a lot of First Amendment cases that deal with very, very dubious speech-related acts. But the issue in Hammerschmidt was whether the men used trickery or deceit to encourage people to evade the draft. And the court found that their conduct did not
Andrew
include
Hay.
deceit. Handing out
I am
pamphlets
Donald
was
Trump,
quote,
and I approve
open
this
defiance of the
message.
government's
What's up,
purpose
Andrew
to
Hay?
enforce a law by urging persons subject to it to disobey it, which is not fraud in this sense. The case didn't refer to the First Amendment or discuss whether political speech can contribute to a criminal conspiracy. But the Hammerschmidt case referred to a 1910 case called Hawes versus Henkel, which might be more analogous to Trump's situation.
Andrew
in that
Hay.
case, Moses Hawes
I'm
and
doing
others
well,
were
man.
charged with a conspiracy to defraud the United States by attempting to bribe a statistician in the Department of Agriculture to give them cotton crop reports before they were officially released to the public with the goal of engaging in market speculation. The statistician was going to, quote, falsify one of these official cotton crop reports, of which fact his associates were to be advised in advance. In Hammerschmidt, the men were handing out political pamphlets urging people to break the law. That was political speech. In Hawes, the men conspired to secretly manipulate cotton crop reports, including by falsifying data to allow the conspirators to engage in market speculation. Now, I'm sure Jack Smith is going to argue that the fact pattern seems
like
closer to
Abraham
Hawes
Lincoln.
because it involves governmental officials
hell?
using deceit and trickery to stop the
weird.
certification of the election of the joint session of Congress on January 6th. Now, to be sure, Trump did engage in political speech, but for the most part, Jack Smith's indictment avoided charging Trump just for making speeches and posting tweets. Instead, it seems like he tried to charge speech acts that urge people, including state and federal officials, to break the law by submitting fraudulent electoral certificates to Congress and NARA. Now, the Georgia indictment, on the other hand, is more explicitly based on Trump's various speech acts, which may present a problem. And there are other cases that Trump might rely on to argue that he had no intent for anyone to commit unlawful acts. For example, in NAACP versus Claiborne Hardware, the Supreme Court ruled that an economic boycott is a form of constitutionally protected expression, even if violence is threatened as a means of achieving a group objective. The case involved an economic boycott by African Americans against white merchants operating in Claiborne County, Mississippi. And the boycott included nonviolent picketing, but there were also acts of threats of violence. And in 1969, white merchants sued the NAACP for damages. And the court held that the non-violent elements of the protesters' activities were protected by the First Amendment. The NAACP wasn't liable for the consequences of their non-violent activity. Effectively, the court separated out the non-violent activity that was protected by the First Amendment and the potentially violent activity that could give rise to damages. And the court ruled that, quote, for liability to be imposed by reason of association alone, it is necessary to establish that the group itself possessed unlawful goals and that the individual held specific intent to further these illegal aims. Persuasion must be, quote, directed to inciting or producing imminent lawless action and likely to incite or produce such action in order for it to be considered a crime. Now, in the aftermath of Claiborne hardware, lower court decisions drew a line between advocacy and urging illegal action. Speech urging illegal action was unprotected by the First Amendment in some contexts. For example, in Rice versus Paladin, the Fourth Circuit ruled that a publisher of a book, Hitman, a technical manual for independent contractors,
Holy
could
shit.
be liable for civilly aiding and abetting
A
a crime,
technical
after
manual
contractor
to be a
used the book to
hitman,
murder
guys.
3 people. The court held that the, quote,
I
provision
want
of
that.
instructions that aid and abet another in the commission
I
of a
want
criminal
that
offense
book.
is not protected by the First Amendment.
Where do I get
the First
it?
Amendment doesn't bar civil liability for speech that the plaintiff can demonstrate was performed with specific intent.
Holy
the court
shit.
drew a distinction between speech that was advocacy and speech that was aiding and abetting others by providing the means to commit the crime.
Once
The
that
court said
you've
the Hitman book,
decided
was not
on a
advocacy. It was an instruction
killing.
manual without relevant communicative value. But the Hitman case is unusual because
First you
Paladin,
make a
for reasons that I won't go
stone of
into,
your
stipulated
heart.
that it intended the book to be
If you
used by
find
criminals
that
and
your
would-be criminals, and that it
hands are
intended
still
and had knowledge
willing,
that the book would be used to execute the crime.
you'll
of
be
murder.
turning murder
But
into
for procedural reasons, there was
art.
only one issue before the court, and that was whether the First Amendment acted as a complete bar to the plaintiff's claims.
You guys
Of
know that
course,
song?
unlike the Paladin publisher, Trump is not going to stipulate that he had specific
Oh,
intent
shit.
and knowledge that his co-conspirators intended to commit crimes. But the government is alleging exactly that Trump knew his speeches and interviews and phone calls and memos were in service of an objective that was against the law, overturning a legitimate election result. So whereas in Claiborne hardware, the boycotters didn't intend violence and thus were not liable for their First Amendment protected speech, Trump intended, so says the government, for others to break the law on his behalf. And I'm sure Jack Smith will use Trump's speeches to prove that he had that specific intent. And of course, Trump is going on trial for conspiracy, and the First Circuit Court of Appeals decided a case called U.S. versus Spock that involved a letter written by professionals who were opposed to the Vietnam War. These professionals, including famous pediatrician Benjamin Spock, wrote a letter called A Call to Resist Illegitimate Authority. And some of them attended protests which advocated for the burning of draft cards. Spock and 3 others were convicted of criminal conspiracy. The court reversed Spock's conviction largely because he did not have specific intent to further the illegal aspects of the letter. The court observed that, quote, it is true that he was one of the drafters of the call, but this does not evidence the necessary intent to adhere to its illegal aspects. Nor does his admission to a government agent that he was willing to do anything asked for further opposition to the war. Specific intent is not established by such a generalization. Whatever the reason, the fact is that his speech was limited to condemnation of the war and the draft and lacked any words or content of counseling. The jury could not find prescribed advocacy from the mere fact, which he freely admitted that he hoped the frequent stating of his views might give young men courage to take active steps in draft resistance. This is a natural consequence of vigorous speech. So this looks like a better argument for Trump, that he, like Dr. Spock, repeatedly stated his views publicly in the hopes that it might give courage to people to take some action, but that he lacked knowledge of illegal efforts on his behalf and the intent to see them succeed. Now, Smith's indictment says that Trump's activities included both legal and illegal means of achieving a second term, despite losing the election. But Trump will argue that he never tried to further any illegal activities. What this all boils down to is that the government must prove that Trump had the mens rea, the necessary mental state, to commit the crimes he's accused of. Now, this sounds complicated, but it's actually how all of criminal law works. The exact same act can be perfectly innocent or a crime based on the mental state of the defendant. Now, as you can probably tell, Trump and his co-defendants are going to need a good lawyer. But if you need a great lawyer, my firm, the Eagle Team, can help. If your loved one has suffered from cancer, has suffered an injury or death in the family, or were involved in a car crash, we can represent you or help find you the right attorney. Just click on the link in the description for a free consultation with my team. Because you don't just need a legal team, you need the Eagle Team. The link is below.
Dude.
Now back to the First Amendment. Now, in addition, you might have heard that the special prosecutor moved for a gag order to stop Trump from communicating about the case. Now, that's not really true, but the government did file a motion for a protective order on Friday, August 4th. Now, a motion for a protective order is an extremely routine motion to make, especially in a case that involves sensitive material. So that, in particular, is not unusual. But what happened is that the government filed its motion after Trump went on Truth Social and posted, if you go after me, I'm coming after you. And in the motion,
Man, Grandpa just truthed me on Truth Social, and he said, I can't find your live show. I'm like, I'm on that, bro. I sent him a link to the show. Hopefully he's here now. I don't know what's going on. Why am I hidden, man? What's going on? It's all happening all over again. It's starting all over again. I'm being algorithmed, man. The algorithm baddies are here. I don't know what is going on, man. So, if you go after me, I'm coming after you, okay.
Prosecutors cited the Truth Social post as evidence that protective order was necessary. The government's theory is that Trump has a history of sharing information that the public shouldn't have. Now, balancing a criminal defendant's right to free speech with the need to keep order in trial and in court, while also balancing the ability of that person to run for president of the United States is, well, tricky. Or as Ken White more colorfully put it, basically it's a nightmare law school exam by a sadistic, drunk law professor. Now, the government said that the order was necessary to, quote, allow the government to begin producing that discovery, much of which includes sensitive and confidential information. The government respectfully moves the court for entry of the attached proposed protective order governing the disclosure of discovery. Now, mind you, when you have a criminal defendant, that defendant is entitled to see the evidence that's going to be presented against them. This process of turning over information is called discovery. And the point of discovery in the criminal context is to inform the defendant about the evidence that's going to be used against them. And as you might imagine, there's a lot of sensitive information here. Quote, materials containing personally identifying information as identified in Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 49.1, Rule 6 materials including subpoena returns, witness testimony, and related exhibits presented to the grand jury, materials obtained through sealed search warrants and 2703D orders, sealed orders obtained by the government's filter team related to the case, recordings, transcripts, interview reports, and related exhibits of witness interviews, and sensitive materials obtained from other governmental entities. And the idea is that the protective order, quote, allows the defendant prompt and effective use of discovery materials in connection with his defense, including by showing discovery materials to witnesses who also agree to abide by the order's terms. The idea is that the discovery would be given to Trump, but he wouldn't be allowed to share it with the public. Prosecutors said, quote, such a restriction is particularly important in this case because the defendant has previously issued public statements on social media regarding witnesses, judges, attorneys, and others associated with legal matters pending against him. And not surprisingly, as evidence, the government referenced Trump's Truth Social screed. They said, quote, if the defendant were to begin issuing public posts using details or, for example, grand jury transcripts obtained in discovery here, it could have a harmful chilling effect on witnesses or adversely affect the fair administration of justice in this case. In response, Trump's lawyer said, quote, the government does not explain how a post on a different topic, which does not include or describe sensitive information, suggests President Trump might disseminate such information in the future. And Trump's lawyer said that the need to protect that information does not require a blanket gag order over all documents produced by the government. And their response brief accused Jack Smith's prosecutors of leaking evidence, stating that the DOJ posed, quote, the greater risk of improper disclosure. Now, Judge Chutkan had a hearing to resolve the parties' inability to agree on the scope of the protective order. And after she issued the protective order, Trump said that he might or might not comply with the judge's order.
Do you plan to comply with the judge's order, given the latest indictment? We'll have to take a look at the order.
So what were they arguing about? Well, the first big issue was whether all information the government obtained during the investigation should be covered by the protective order, as the prosecution wanted. But the judge was not persuaded that the government proved that all information gathered in the case should fall under the protective order. And the judge ruled that the government can designate certain materials as sensitive, but not all of them. But notably, the judge agreed with the government that every single person interviewed by prosecutors is a potential witness and is therefore sensitive information. The judge suggested that Trump might release evidence about Mike Pence in order to denigrate him as a witness. Quote, the defendant's desire to respond to political opponents has to yield. There are limits. This is a criminal case. The need for this case to proceed in a normal order means there are going to be limits on the defendant's speech. The judge was also concerned that witnesses could be intimidated by, quote, members of the public, also who are not bound by the conditions of the release. Now, Laurel pleaded with the judge to consider that Trump needed to be able to discuss everything listed in paragraph 8 on the debate stage. But Judge Chutkan said that the political campaign would have no bearing on any of her decisions in the case. She chided Laurel for, quote, conflating what your client needs to defend himself and what he wants to do politically. Your client's defense has to happen in the courtroom, not on the internet. To the extent your client wants to make statements on the internet, he has to yield to witness security. Now, the second major issue was whether Trump would be allowed to see all the discovery in the case and what he'd be allowed to do with that material. And here, Judge Chutkan fashioned a compromise. Trump is allowed to review sensitive information without his legal team present in the room, but the team must be present to retrieve the materials as soon as Trump exits the room. If Trump takes notes, his lawyers must review them to assure that he did not write down sensitive personal information. Trump is also not permitted to have an electronic device with him that would allow him to take a picture or photocopy the document. Quote, if the defendant takes notes regarding sensitive materials, defense counsel must inspect those notes to ensure that the defendant has not copied down personally identifying information. Now, this puts a lot of pressure on the lawyers to make sure that their client is complying with the order. Now, with normal clients, this isn't such a big deal, but this is obviously Donald Trump that we're dealing with here. And things are getting especially interesting because in the wake of the protective order, Trump has arguably directed speech at a witness in Georgia saying, quote, I am reading reports that failed former Lieutenant Governor of Georgia, Jeff Duncan, will be testifying before the Fulton County grand jury. He shouldn't, and then goes on even further. Now, that's not great. Now, while some commentators have argued that this constitutes witness tampering, the Georgia witness tampering statute is mainly concerned with threats and bribes and likely doesn't apply here. And Judge Chutkan's protective order prevents Trump and his legal team from disclosing sensitive matters revealed in discovery, but it doesn't really touch on statements like that. Trump's condition of his release do actually bar him from harassing or intimidating witnesses, but that would likely only apply to witnesses in his D.C. case. So given all the gray areas here, I wouldn't expect that any of the judges here to be the first to rush to jail Trump or hold Trump in contempt over his social media posts. But right after the Duncan-related post, he also targeted Judge Chutkan by commenting on her past in-court statements, which is at the very least likely to piss off the judge. Though in fairness, it's not a great statement from the judge. It's a gratuitous reference to Trump, who wasn't on trial in that particular January 6th case. But I'm sure that these are only just the first in a long string of free speech hypotheticals that would drive any student in con law to insane, or a YouTube lawyer, as the case may be. But all this just makes my brain hurt. So I think I'll just sit back and enjoy a delicious meal delivered straight to my door, which I can get with today's sponsor, Factor. Because Factor makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. And the meals are completely ready to eat. You can eliminate hours it would take to shop, to meal prep, and to cook, so you can spend only ingredients with integrity to help you feel your best all day long. And they really are extremely delicious, like bruschetta shrimp risotto, green goddess chicken, grilled steakhouse filet mignon, ready in just 2 minutes. And their menus are updated weekly with 34 different options. You can choose your favorite meal or let Factor craft your order based on your taste preferences and meal history. So give Factor a try by heading to Factor75.com and use the code LegalEagle50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. Or just click on the link that's on screen right now or down in the description and use the code LegalEagle50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. All you have to do is click on the link that's down below. After that, click on this link over here for more Legal Eagle, or I'll see you in court.
I faced a bear.
I bet you his wife was like, listen, just walk away, don't do this anymore, and I'll stay with you. But if you continue to do this, she's going to leave. Because after I thought about it, I'm like, I haven't seen her a lot at all. I did see her getting on a plane or off a plane not too long ago. She was probably...
So, Kurt, there's always this kind of discussion and argument.
You guys,
between,
this is
some of my friends out
Craig
there.
Pasta Jardulo, Yo Pasta on Twitter. He's on Rumble.
Okay, right. People are saying
he's on a show called The Convo Couch.
What they're saying is that they're just capitalist. And
you can find The Convo Couch on Rumble.
Agenda.
The Convo Couch is also on YouTube.
That's what they're trying
to say. What do they mean? Like, what do you mean just? Like,
well, they're saying
yes, they are capitalists, but it's beyond anything of markets. Because if you notice, what we have now is not even consumerism.
Yeah,
we're full-blown feudalism.
Yeah,
you want to suck up to the minor lord and lady to get to the top of that, and what the consumer want means nothing.
Yeah,
that's a little different. Like it used to be that, like, well, what do the people want? Whatever crap, and you just give it to them.
Not anymore.
No, now it's like, we know what's good for you.
What's best for you.
And it's worse than the crap
Craig's,
that you were choosing.
He's so cringe.
But they know better.
God.
Well, the reason why I bring this up is because some of the people in the
just
populist
cringe,
right,
man. He's just like,
say, no, those are communists. They just want to
you can see this is just not chemistry, them talking to each other.
Right?
He's very uncomfortable. He wants to say something right now, and Kurt's cutting him off. And he's just waiting for Kurt to finish
it's as meaningless
so he
as
can keep talking again.
Thank you
so
so much.
It can literally be anything.
Thank you. Because the bottom line is that I don't care what you want to call them, but there is a global agenda, and there is a ruling class where these elites or we call them the predator class, make decisions what's best for you. And like Kurt said, it's worse than it was before, including this guy over here. And I know a lot of people are always like, oh, you like to just throw out, Soros as a buzzword.
Well,
and
that guy. Okay, so
Yeah.
Soros.
Yes.
I
Okay.
believe this too. I was
He
watching,
wasn't
Okay.
finished with
Kim
his
Kardashian,
stuff
he just wrote a
with
book
his
about this,
sentence.
and he says,
Cut me off
according to
again.
him,
Yeah.
he says Soros is a British asset, intelligence asset. He went to that school that they have foreign leaders go to. They call it
Yeah.
their soft power. So he didn't break the Bank of England. They were about to be the pound was going to get absorbed into the euro, but then it. He bet against it and it crashed. And we're gonna have to keep the pound. It doesn't qualify to be part of the euro. Oh, darn you, George Soros breaking the bank. He didn't do that by himself. So he's just the front for people to be mad at. And so it's like a brand, like Paul Newman salad dressing. He's like the gross face on it.
And you're right. And once again, because there is a global agenda and people
You
in
don't know
place.
the name of the people who are really, it's only a few people. You don't get to find. Elon Musk is not the richest man in the world. He's the richest. You think he really is? And you would know who that is?
Soros, his grandfather, I believe, was the first director of DARPA. These people,
Really?
though, it doesn't happen by chance.
Wait.
Yeah.
His not the one that worked on
Soros.
heavy
Not
water?
Soros. Excuse me, Bezos. I got the wrong oligarch mixed up. Bezos.
The wrong
his
oligarch.
grandfather was one of the
That
first
was
directors
almost
of DARPA.
malinformation, what you just said.
So listen, this article came out. I didn't subscribe to the channel, so I couldn't get the article, but we got it right here. It says, Soros-funded NGOs demand crackdown on free speech as politicians spread hate misinformation. So this whole hate speech, once again, is not really about protecting society and not getting rid of hate speech. It's about a vessel they use to go and take more of your civil liberties away.
Soros funded means intelligence agencies funded. Just think of it like
Exactly.
that. It's like gain of function. Like, you hire a guy
This
to hire
guy, Kurt, is a nation friggin' builder. And it's kind of great that we got this article because it's going to show you, because people, once again, they say, oh, you just throw Soros out there, like Fox News and stuff, like, oh, you blame everything on Soros. No, Soros is a nation builder. He had his fingers and his dirty footprints all in Ukraine. I'm going to show you, and it's still going on today. So this is from Michael Schellenberg.
He looks great, though. Can we at least say that? Oh, my
He
God.
does look great for 132. Politicians and George Soros' funded NGOs say hate incidents are rising, but they're not. The data show the opposite, higher than ever, and rising levels of tolerance of minorities is what's really taking place. The reason they're spreading hate misinformation is to justify draconian crackdowns on free speech. Kurt, they can't let the plebs out there saying what they want to say.
I don't understand why this is news.
This
It's
is
been news for like the last how long?
my
Well,
God.
because it's once again, it's just connected. Soros-funded NGOs
Dude.
demand crackdown on.
Dude, that was so bad for Kurt to say that to Craig, man. That was I don't
the
understand.
guy's been
He's on there.
nice the whole
He's on there
time.
talking about what he feels is news, and Kurt comes at him with this.
Out there saying what
This
they
is
want to say.
I
psychotic.
don't understand why this is news.
Look at Craig. He's like, gulp.
I know.
Oh my God, poor Craig. Look at him. He's like,
He's like, let's be on
well,
the side.
it's news because I'm talking about it.
This is news for like the last how long? 10
Well, because
years?
it's once again, it's just connected. Soros-funded NGOs demand crackdown on
Poor
free
Craigie.
speech as politicians spread hate information. Open Society
Is he a
Foundation
nice
backed
guy?
NGOs pushing
He is a
censorship
nice guy,
agenda
but he hates
in
me.
Ireland and Scotland.
does?
Yeah,
that
he hates
includes
me.
police
I was gonna say,
searches
he would be
of
a nice
homes
friend.
and personal
Yeah, he would be. I
phones
try to be
and
friends with him.
computers.
He won't.
He's just
Sounds
because him
kinda
and I
consistent
disagree
with
with
what we just
shit.
witnessed here in Kansas, huh?
So
I would
whatever.
take out but I would be like when they say Soros funded,
I
they
said,
should
I
actually
like
take
you,
that
bro,
out.
man. And just
Because
because we
there's no way
disagree, he's like,
Soros
well,
could
I
do
don't
that
like you. You call me a
unless that
liar.
was your
I'm
own
like, well, you
government
are a liar.
trying to do that.
Quit lying
And
about
so that's
shit.
Yeah,
you
people
can
don't
see
like
it
when
diverted
people
onto
call
this
people
one guy
liars.
as if he's the one behind it.
We'll get
The
used to
governments
fucking
are doing
facts and
this.
goddamn
These are all
truth,
fronts, these
motherfucker. Because when
people.
someone
Yes.
lies, I call him a
God,
liar.
like,
You know, it's like
the
that's what I
crap
do.
that Elon got for the minor.
I call a
and
liar a
everyone call it
liar.
reform. The minor
Because they
things
don't
he'll
get
on
arrested
Twitter,
for it. They
the
don't get in
amount of
trouble
crap
for it. You might as well just call them what they are.
non-stop thrown at him.
That's the only punishment
Like, there's
you
no
can
way,
give
George, the open society could do that unless it was MI6 and CNN all
Yes,
that
unless they're
involved.
acting on behalf of a global agenda of a bunch of elites and freaking military assets and security state assets. And
Build-A-Bear group.
the Build-A-Bear.
Bilderberg.
The Bilderberg. All right, let's take a look because this is happening today, and I'm going to show you how it's tied into what happened in Ukraine. the direct actual line of how Soros was part of the whole regime change operation, because he's a nation builder, in Ukraine. However, an increase in the reporting of hate offenses is different from an actual increase. For police to classify something as hate offense, which is either a crime or an incident, which is a hate act that is not criminalized, no actual proof or evidence is required beyond somebody simply calling it that. So it's not that hate, it's not that the hate crimes have increased, it's the way they classify it now.
So wait, are you telling me that a hate crime and a woman are the same thing?
The police themselves admit that the threshold for perception required for this is very low.
If it identifies as a hate crime.
If somebody off to the crowd over there, in fact, you don't even have to be listen, in fact, you don't even have to be the victim of the alleged crime to report it. A random bystander who's not even involved, who has nothing to do with the event, can say, I think that was based on prejudice. I saw his eyes, Kurt. He was nudging him.
This is in Ireland.
And it will be categorized as such.
Well, have fun, Ireland.
A bystander. So here's the thing, the hate crimes haven't increased. The way they classified them changed it, so they used the vessel to manipulate data to make the public think that hate crimes are going up. The biggest threat to our society, what do they call those people?
What?
Domestic terrorists, right? No. Is that what they call those?
What, stochastic terrorism?
Stochastic.
That's where you said a thing, and that could... Actual murder can be excused, but you saying you don't like someone or something, that's the first step to murder, which I don't even care about. I care you said something.
I had an FBI agent tell me, an old ex-FBI agent try to tell me that white supremacy was one of the biggest growing, situations, problems in America. And I told him straight up, you're full of crap.
Well, maybe he was referring to after Operation Paperclip, where we literally tens of thousands of Nazis.
The Nazi draft.
And then people think the Jews run things, but no, it was Nazis that we saved and put them in charge of a lot of
Kurt, they did so much valuable work for us.
That's how I used to explain when I first heard of it, because a lot of people know about how we grabbed a bunch of Nazis.
It was the information.
What I always thought was, no, they were getting the rocket scientists, because the communists, I know if you said to somebody, oh, well, the commies, or what about Stalin? No, we didn't just take the smart nerds. We took guys with big gashes down the side of their face who were just terrorists, and we put them to work as terrorists and also captains of our industries.
Yeah. Someone could report what was an obvious joke between laughing friends as a hate incident to the police, and then guess what? It's a hate crime. Hate crimes are through the roof. So Soros is all part of that whole mechanism, but I want to show you something right now, how it's linked completely to what happened in 2014.
Now, you sure this is an anti-Semitic? You know, they say it's anti-Semitic to say Soros did anything?
Yeah.
Yes, they do say that. A guy who,
as a kid, went around helping Nazis pick out Jew stuff they were stealing.
Yes.
And the only way they debunk it, if you look up the debunking, I'll sum it up. Well, he did it, but he didn't like it.
He did it against us. Well, are you saying that Soros is linked to helping out Nazis and funding Nazis? Well, you're going to love this story. Watch this. Leaked memos show that Soros was the secret ruler of Ukraine in 2014. In other words, he was behind the scenes. The meeting took place on March 31st, 2014, just a few months after the Maidan coup, and weeks before a full-out civil war erupted after Ukraine forces attacked the Donbass. In this meeting, U.S. Ambassador Jeffrey Pyatt, the one who was out there with Victoria Nuland, handing out cookies on the Maidan to the opposition, outlines the general goal for fighting a PR war against Putin, for which George Soros is more than happy to assist. Oh, let me help you with your media war, with your narrative control. You know why? Because he has plenty of history of working the media.
As an asset, yeah.
Totally, Ambassador. The short-term issue that needs to be addressed will be the problem in getting the message out from the government through professional PR tools, especially given
hindsight's always 20/20, though, Craig.
Smear campaigns.
You know, these guys all thought they were doing the right thing.
Agreement on the
they were
strategic
really scared of Russia
providing
because they're
professional PR
idiots.
assistance to Ukraine government would be very useful. George Soros also gave an overview of the crisis media center set up by the IRF, and the need for Yatsenyuk to do more interviews with them and address directly the journalists and the public the current criticism of his decision making. Now, this guy Yatsenyuk was the guy that they used to replace Yanukovych when they threw him out there.
Yeah, right.
And this is George Soros saying this is how we have to change his image. This is how we have to get the message
across.
across.
One with the glasses?
Yes, I think he
Isn't
was.
he not Azov related? Am I wrong that I think that he is related?
They're all related to the Azov and the Svoboda Party.
Okay.
The Svoboda Party are the other ultra-nationalists that the EU and NATO has backed. Pyatt pushes the idea of decentralization of power for the new Ukraine without moving towards Lavrov's recommendation for a federalized Ukraine. George Soros notes that the federalization model would result in Russia gaining influence over eastern regions of Ukraine, something that George Soros strictly opposes. Now, if you want to talk about the whole fall of the Ukraine,
why? Okay, why would, if you don't want him to have influence over the eastern Ukraine and Donbass, for example, they weren't trying to be with Russia.
Yeah.
They wanted to just be independent because they were sick of getting, blown up.
Yes.
So why would they? I guess they wanted the war is the only explanation, because why would they ban speaking Russian
I did the washer.
and crack down on them?
Yeah.
Is that going to drive them to Putin? So it seems kind of deliberate.
absolutely, Kurt. It's like I said before, it was deliberate. Because the United States doesn't care who wins the war. The United States doesn't care who loses the war. The United States foreign policy apparatus only cares is that we have the war. Because then they get the money laundering scheme pulled off.
Why was Soros so
In
against?
play.
Why was Soros so against George W. Bush and the Iraq War? I wonder.
I don't
He was
really.
very. Oh yeah, he was.
You
all
guys,
stop George W.
I would
Bush.
keep doing the show.
So it's like that's a weird.
But not one of you is saying anything in any of my chats. According to this, there's 33 people, 34 people watching. I said hello in the Rumble chat like 5-6 minutes ago. Nobody's saying anything. I'd keep going, but it's just there's no participation, guys. So this show is not just about me. And when you guys stop participating, I have no. I don't even believe that there's actually people watching right now. So, you guys, thank you for watching. If you really are here, it's hard to believe the numbers say 30 almost 40 people, guys.
Who's in hell?
You're welcome.
Thanks, Nick.
One person. Shuri's 2 people. So 2 people out of what says 40. Yeah. I appreciate the 2 of you. Where's the other 38, I
Dave
wonder?
Fishing. I'm listening. Hashtag keep it
Okay,
open.
there's 3. And a 38. 3. All right, you guys, you'll learn in the future. If you want this show to keep going, you'll speak up in my chat and to keep the show going.
Heavy Padilla. I was listening.
Hey, Heavy P.
Cuz 77. Hashtag keep it open.
Oh, hashtag keep it open. That's a thing, too. I like that. Dave Fishing. Yeah, I like that. You're folding laundry? That's fair. Okay. Are you guys interested in hearing this shit about Soros? I'm surprised you don't have anything to say in the chat about it, but my girlfriend and I were enjoying it.
Weird thing to me like that, because that was.
I thought you guys would enjoy it, too.
He's like
Steven running.
It is like global.
THX.
Liberal versus neocon kind of.
Well, listen, we that's something.
I mean,
we
Rumble
could
chat's
explore
on
too as well, but I don't
screen.
think
All
that
the
he
other
was
chat
really
is
against it. He just
vocalized.
came out against
Feel
it
free
after.
to speak up, guys.
Look, when Joe Biden was out there, he was bragging that he was against the surge in Afghanistan. Like, he was the vice president trying to tell the president in his ear that he was against it. But we had video leaked when he was on the campaign trail. I was the first person for the surge. Because then they can change positions. Why? Because Americans are not paying attention. We're asleep at the wheel.
Yep,
It's
that's
actually,
true. That's
wild
true.
and conspiratorial
You guys are
to
easily
talk about
distracted
any part
by
of the
shit
story.
you shouldn't be distracted
Even if
by.
it's from
You
mainstream,
got to keep your eyes on the
commentating
ball. What he
sources.
said makes total sense.
So we're going back to 1994 because Radio Free Europe, which is a radio station in Europe, which it's anything but free, which is the opposition to all the communist bloc and whatnot, started years ago. Well, this goes back to 1994. Radio Free Europe seeks to privatize. And guess who they want to privatize to? You'll never guess. Radio Free Europe, the American finance broadcaster to formerly communist countries whose budget has been slashed since the end of the Cold War, says it expects to reach an agreement soon with financier
Hashtag keep it open.
George Soros to privatize its research and archives operations and move them from Munich to Prague. So here comes George Soros, his grubby fingers. He's going to help privatize. He's going to use it because he's never going to take on something that he doesn't need unless he can use it. And the way you pull off these color revolutions is you need media. You need media to take the people and swing them a certain way.
Which ones have worked? I mean, was Ukraine
In this particular situation, it worked in Ukraine.
Was it called the Color Revolution?
It was a color revolution. They had the Orange Revolution years ago. This was another color revolution in which they had to persuade the people in Kiev to go against the government there that they said was Russian friendly, and it wasn't Russian friendly. It was just it was Yanukovych looking at both sides saying, I want the best deal for Ukraine. That's why he didn't take the EU deal. Not because he was loyal to Putin. It's the fact that he didn't get a good deal for his country.
Wasn't Tiananmen Square also their attempted color? Because what I was told is Soros was not welcome back there anymore.
He had his own candidate involved in Chinese politics too as well, and they threw him out. They threw George Soros out too as well. Now, this is a paper from Sage Journal. It says, Unexpected Revolution, the role of social media in Ukraine's Euromaidan uprising. So when you say Euromaidan, you're talking about the Maidan, which is in Kiev, when they started a color revolution, they overthrew the government. The Euromaidan is the European friendly. So as people become increasingly connected online, more and more social and political movements sparked by new information and communication technologies emerge around the world. So now this is this whole time right now where the intranet is coming into play, when Facebook is coming into play, when Twitter, when YouTube is coming into play. And it's bad enough that the United States foreign policy apparatus or the intelligence community controls every single aspect of our mainstream media. The fact they try to cut us down and sniper us and shut us up independent-wise is even just another form of suppression and against our civil liberties, and we need to push back against it. Freedom of a press is a freedom of a press. You don't need a license from any state to say you're a journalist. You can be a citizen journalist. So they actually have a mechanism which they can lift those up that they want to promote, or they can shut those down that they don't like. While these technologies enable quick mobilization of a large number of participants for a particular cause, not all social media empowered initiatives are equally successful in becoming sustainable and achieving their goals. This paper examines the role of social media in Ukraine's recent Euromaidan uprising. In particular, it looks at the strategic ways in which activists have used social media to protest mobilization, internal and external communications, and organizing. In other words, they were able to use social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, as a vessel to get people riled up and involved to overturn their government. But you still need money behind it, baby. You can't get this done unless you don't have a few bucks. In the case of the Euromaidan, Twitter was particularly instrumental in both helping protesters identify and connect with one another and keeping wider audiences, including international observers, informed about developments on the ground. So you shut down one side of the paper and you lift up the other. Yet the communication efforts of the Euromaidan activists might not have been so successful if Twitter, YouTube, and other social media channels had not been amplified by traditional media outlets. So they lifted up this information of these small groups. In Ukraine, the key online news site, Ukrainska Pravda, provided updates and analysis on Euromaidan, while Radio Svoboda, it has the name of the channel of the people they're actually representing, the Svoboda Party, and we'll get to that in a second. And it was promoted by who? Radio Free Europe and Radio Liberty. And several other outlets offered ongoing live streams of the protest in 2013. So Radio Free Europe promoted this Svoboda channel, this radio channel. George Soros' parent company that he had all his grubby fingers on, invested in, privatized, promoted this other small channel, the Svoboda Parties, Radio Svoboda.
Svoboda is the...
it's this, Kurt.
Okay.
This is the BBC back when it was cool, right? In 2012, when you could talk about Nazis or the ultra-nationalists.
Hey, they're not Nazis, they're just ultra-nationalists. You know, like in America, if we had people that were called ultra-nationalists here, no one would think of them as Nazis. Well, they would just go, oh, come on, they're just ultra-nationalists.
They're just ultra-nationalists, and you could see them fighting and pushing, but you know, you got it over here from Insider. I'm sorry I went too far with that, man. So let me... John McCain went to Ukraine and stood on stage with a man accused of being an anti-Semitic neo-Nazi. This is of the Svoboda Party, and I can't let him off the hook, but also Lindsey Graham was there, and Senator Murphy was there from Connecticut, and you can see, this is the dude right here. There he is, with the head of Svoboda. Hey. And there's your guy right over there.
Wow. Well, it's really strange how this theme keeps popping up at the top.
What?
the hailing a cab motion.
The hailing a cab
Out
motion.
there.
Belarus labeled Radio Liberty as extremist. Radio Liberty, Radio Free Europe, subsidized, financed, privatized by George Soros, who then went on, right there, Radio Svoboda, and there's Svoboda. You can see videos of them marching in the streets. They're all hailing cabs all over the place.
Can a hero get a cab in Kyiv?
But that's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. George Soros directly tied to the press, the independent media that helped this uprising.
Maybe John McCain is up in the bleachers. That's why, hey, my man McCain over there.
Over there. There he is.
I'm just one point. Yeah, there he is. Move
But
him a little
Soros-
bit to the side.
Soros directly tied to it. He's a nation builder. He's a globalist, capitalist, whatever you want to call
You know what it
him.
almost seems like? It seems like real rich people at the very tippity top really don't care about anybody's stupid little, like, political parties or their little titles of what they are. They just, it's like strange bedfellows, like whoever we need in our bed at the moment to get this thing we want. The end. We don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the history. Though.
At the end of we don't give a shit. To act like we're doing it for truth and justice.
Well, it's awkward because all these reporters, was that guy's name David Stern? I'm curious about the reporters because 2018, 2019, I saw a bunch of stuff about Ukraine, the big Nazi problem, and people.
Because at one point, Vice was all doing work on it. It was okay to report about Nazis until, wait a second, these
same reporters, where the hell are they now? All the people that reported on that stuff. And
Kurt, where do they get their checks from?
But like, what are they?
Now they're gonna speak.
Well, this is what I'm asking. Are they just mums the word, or are they now saying it's not that big a deal? Is the same exact guy?
Well,
is that guy David Stern saying it's not that big? It's
Look,
complicated.
well, I don't know. Listen, I'm not inside David Stern's head, but you know, you can convince yourself a lot of things if it's the landline, your direct pipeline to your payment, to your house, to your livelihood, right? You can convince yourself of a lot of bullshit then. But he knows. They know who butters their bread. Well, they understand what they can and cannot do. They've all been told, Ixnay on the Nazi, don't talk about it no more.
Not just, I bet you they didn't even have to be told, because the thing I noticed, I bring it up with the other segment, is I was talking to some friends about how awful Hawaii response was. Because I'm just curious if anybody knows what's going on. I'm at the Comedy Store, and they're like, at least 3 people have said to me, no reason bringing them, like, well, what am I going to vote for Trump?
Yeah.
I'm like, who was even talking about
that? Yeah.
So that means everybody's attention is focused on one thing, which is Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Smart. You're the smart people. And then Putin is somehow Trump. Everything is somehow Trump, and all that so once you have this ultimate Thanos Avengers enemy, that like he's going to snap the world out of existence or whatever the hell they think, you could just forget every other thing you've ever learned in your whole life.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I made a tweet once before, Kurt. I said his name is Vladimir Putin, not Thanos. Right? Like they were able to villainize all these people, our media.
No,
our
Trump
press.
is Thanos. Vladimir Putin's just like a bad guy that helps Trump.
Under
Trump, there's nothing worse. I can't think of a single thing worse. That's how bright I am.
Well, when we were getting into the whole Ukraine war, they tried to elevate Putin up to Thanos status, but I get it. That Donald Trump is the worst because you do say anything.
No, Americans don't care about a foreign guy unless they think it affects an American thing. So that's
don't you know their democracy over there affects our freedom, Kurt?
Because Trump.
Because it's Trump.
You can't make it work on a mass scale without it being about Trump. Putin was never that good of a villain unless you're like these queefs that work in D.C.
George Soros, all these other globalists or people following the global agenda, they're all tied into the same mentality that is the United States. Kind of what I was talking to when I disagree a little bit with Gerald Celente about our foreign policy, our 82 bases. That's the cause of why people are migrating. But we go around doing this all the time. He even said this is nothing new. Here's Jeffrey Sachs talking about the good old American way.
Because MAGA, people that believe MAGA, they're thinking of probably like, I don't know, the 80s or something when Reagan said it. And that's when the fallout from us stealing people's stuff, like Hitler did.
Yeah.
And the economy's great for a little while because you're stealing, and then they start to get mad and there's problems.
Yeah.
So they like make it like when we first were invading their countries and taking their stuff, not the later years.
But you got to admit too, as well, Kurt. This is a little bit of empire education. The American exceptionalism,
found
it's
out-
programmed.
you're a third world
We're
country.
taught everything in school that, we're going around fighting for democracy and freedom and
we even
human
do that
rights. We're
here.
Captain America. And when we do these things, we do them because we're justified doing them.
Do they call they call Chicago Chirac? And they call another. I can't remember where they're part, but those places are like worse than Iraq. Actually, I don't think people even understand the level. Most people do not understand the level of how crazy it is there, and that's how they want it to be. Just how we want to ruin a Middle Eastern country to extract whatever we want to extract out of there. We want everything unstable here because God forbid you figure out that you shouldn't be fighting over the petty stuff you fight over.
Yeah. It's not just about the resource extraction, it's also about thrusting our monetary system on these countries too as well. So therefore it holds value on our global dollar, but that's starting to fade away. And then you can take your banks with your IMF and your central banks and throw loans and put them on the back of people, keep them enslaved all the time. This is Jeffrey Sachs talking about the good old American way that we just can't shake this behavior, and it drives me crazy. That's why I just definitely disagree with Judge Knapp and Gerald Celente when he said, I don't want them coming here, let them figure it out. It's our country's bases that are over there. We can't say shit until we're not over there as bases, we're occupying. And that's all we do is occupy.
Why do you think the bigwigs are letting them come in? Because they know they're screwing it up there. Like, ooh, cheap labor.
Well, why cheap labor? That's why. Because now they can take advantage of them.
They're coming here to you'll pay them $5 an hour to put a toilet.
And it's divisive as F with the country and the people. Take a look, Jeffrey Sachs.
We're already in a post-American and post-Western world. We're in a truly multipolar world. We're in a world where the BRICS countries are larger than the G7 countries.
Turkey wants to join. Even Turkey and Greece want to join the BRICS countries.
One of the points of all of this.
Okay, I get it.
Let's start this month's lightning round video off with some superconductor news. Maybe you heard about it. The superconductor that I'm talking about, of course, is metal strontium ruthenate. Because last week a paper published by the scientists at the University of Illinois claimed that they found a demon in metal strontium ruthenate.
Bonsai
I'm
House.
making that up.
Bob
Technically, it's
Barker
not
just
a demon.
died.
It's actually a
3 more months and he would have been
it stands for
100.
distinct electron motion particle, and they add the ON.
No shit, bro. Bob Barker died. Holy shit, man. That's crazy. Oh my god, dude. Oh my god. That's fucking crazy, dude. He was like iconic. That guy.
When, to particle names, electron, proton, demon. It was first theorized by David Pines in 1956, so it's been called Pines' demon. It's a type of plasmon that's massless and has a neutral charge. Mostly this is just news because nobody's
Bonsai House.
found one before.
99.
But
1
it's
hour
hoped that
ago
studying
or
this
so.
particle or
They could have took Drew Carey but knew him. Speakesta. Truthfully did not know he was still alive.
3 months from 100. Sure he's before he died. How old is Bob? You mean how old was Bob? Bob's no longer with us.
Particle technically will help to understand superconductors better. And speaking of superconductors, Brian Beswick asked, LK99, the next great leap in science, or a cold fusion-like debacle? Yeah, this question was asked a few weeks back. Okay, so when the news of LK99 broke, of course, I had about 1 million requests to cover this topic, but I didn't for a few reasons.
Bonsai
One,
House.
I had a whole backlog of
99
videos
born
because I
December
was traveling,
12th.
so I couldn't really actively get to it. 2, I didn't feel confident that I understood the details to talk intelligently about it beyond all the hype that was going on. And 3, it just all sounded too good to be true. Yeah, I would just rather be the guy that waits a few weeks to
He was
make
probably
sure that
born in
something is legit before I
1924,
talk
right?
about it instead of just jumping onto a hype cycle, which probably explains the slow growth of my channel. But yeah, the verdict seems to be in on LK99, and it looks
1923.
like I was right to be skeptical about the news. I don't claim to have any kind of special clairvoyance or anything like
1923.
that. It's just that I've covered a lot of world-changing topics in the time that I've done this channel, and most of them, when all said and done, they just turn out to be nothing burgers. Been burned too many times, kids. I can only be Charlie Brown
Heavy
for so
video.
long. But I guess it's possible that
1923.
some of you haven't somehow heard of LK99. There have been, other things in the news lately.
Thunderfoot already
By the way,
debunked
before I
it.
go on, I have to say our hearts go out to everybody.
He said
in
it's a
Maui that was
fucking
affected by those
magnet, it's
fires. And also,
bullshit.
as I'm recording this, the city of Yellowknife in Canada is currently being evacuated because of all the wildfires
Dave
up
Fishing.
there. So,
Emote
Yellowknife may or may not
5393990
exist by the
Nays
time
Garden, New
this
York
video
Bung
comes out.
repeat.
I'll put some links down in the description if you want to help out those causes. But anyway, on top of everything else that's going on, the internet kind of lost its mind in late July when a preprint hit the social media feeds that reported that a team in South Korea had created a substance that's superconductive at room temperature and ambient pressure. Superconductivity is when a material offers no resistance to an electrical current, and that causes it to do all kinds of cool things like levitate, and it's also useful in MRI machines, in fusion
Fake
reactors,
magnet
direct magnetic fields.
bullshit.
The downside of superconductors, though, is that
That's
all of them
what-
so
that's
far
what
anyway,
Thunderfoot
either
said.
need to be
Debunked.
cooled to just above absolute zero, or it needs to be
That
under
was like
massive
a month
pressure.
ago.
Like,
Bonsai
supposedly
House.
there's a layer of metallic
It's
hydrogen
not
on
laser
Jupiter
season, but it is
that's created
fucking
by the massive
wildfire
gravitational
season.
pressure
Right?
there. Anyway, the idea of a room temperature ambient pressure superconductor would mean that our electrical grids would be super efficient. We could have maglev trains, maglev cars, hoverboards, people. Hence the massive amount of hype around this discovery. The people behind it was a team led by Suk-Bae Lee and Ji-Hoon Kim at the Quantum Energy Research
Suk-Bae's
Center,
right.
which is a startup firm in Seoul. And they claim that this worked at normal pressures up to 127 degrees Celsius. And of course, there's that video that we've all seen all around the internet of that little flake of material sort of kind of levitating on top.
It's
and one of the
levitating.
best things about it, by the way, is that it doesn't require any rare minerals
levitating.
or materials or anything.
It's
just
a
all
magnet.
copper, lead, phosphorus,
Bonsai
and
house.
oxygen.
It's a
The preprint
magnet.
showed how to make
Ha
it.
ha ha ha
So then
ha.
people all around the
Hoverboards
world,
people.
professionals
Ha,
and
ha, ha.
amateurs alike, started
Hey,
trying
Granny
to
Joe
replicate
5.
it, and the tweets started coming in immediately. And I'll get to the results of those tests here in a second, but for me anyway, there were a couple of red flags right off the bat. One, this was a preprint, meaning it hadn't been peer-reviewed or anything, and again, Charlie Brown. The second was that this wasn't from an academic institution, it was from a startup, meaning they had a monetary incentive to be the first ones to get this out there.
So stupid.
Nothing against startups, just saying. And it looked at first like maybe there was something to it. Some of the labs were able to replicate the effect that we saw in that footage, but then others weren't. And even the ones that did began to question if what they were seeing was really from superconductivity. Yeah, many started to suggest that that effect that we were seeing was actually from like ferromagnetism and not from the Meissner effect. The Meissner effect is what causes levitation in superconductors. And as of this recording anyway, that seems to be the consensus. Yeah, according to an article in the journal Nature, the effect was actually the result of copper sulfide. That was
Bonsai
a
house.
little minor impurity. in the
Acoustic
sample.
levitation,
The article
which is
highlights the
real,
work of a
is way
chemist
more
named
interesting than
Prashant
TikTok
He's a
illusions.
chemist at the University of Illinois Urbana.
It's fucking
So
a
he recognized
goddamn
something
magic
specific
trick.
in that preprint that said that the superconductivity
Idiots.
of LK99 went way up at 104.8 degrees Celsius. And according to the article, he said, quote, I was like, wait a minute, I know this temperature. He knows that temperature because he happens to be
Bonsai
an expert
house.
in copper sulfide. He's worked
Yeah.
with it extensively, and he knows that at that exact temperature, copper
Let's
sulfide
see.
goes through a phase transition.
Let's see how long ago Thunderfoot debunked it.
Logical complexity of this system.
2 weeks ago. Hey, Mom.
Did you get my note?
Yes, I printed up that sheet. All right. All right, you guys, I'm going to go. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys had fun. Yes, the LK99, 2 weeks ago. I thought it was a month ago.
And stuff. So my expectation.
Here it is.
Know what LK99 is? It's all the buzz now in
It's
the
the-
technology
this is the
space
Thunderfoot
because
video.
This could be as powerful as the transistor was to our current world.
That's bullshit.
But it's possible, though, they may not remember any of that. In fact, all of that may be a footnote to what is happening right now, with possibly
Liar.
one of the most important
Liar.
scientific breakthroughs of
Liar.
the 21st century.
That is especially bullshit.
The bigger the claim, the more we have
Liar.
to be skeptical. So what's really
Liar.
going on? Is it
Liar.
really legitimate?
So-
and what could this mean? Let's figure this out together.
Whatever, you didn't figure out dick, dude. And Thunderfoot went through, did a whole video, guys, and debunked it. It was awesome, bro. It's a 28-minute video, and, you know, this guy gets to it 2 weeks later, but, you know, I'm watching the right people when I watch Thunderfoot. That's all I'm saying. So you guys check out Thunderfoot. It's 2 zeros instead of 2 O's. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. If there was some I swear if there was some participation in the chats, guys, I wouldn't end these shows like this, but there's just nothing. You guys just have nothing to say. Nothing about this, nothing about Thunderfoot, nothing about superconductivity, nothing about magnets, nothing about nothing. No participation. So I'm going to go, guys. I don't come here to talk to myself. You know? If I want to do this, if I want to do that, I'd go outside and talk to myself. Bye, Cherise. Okay, bye, everybody. Love you. I got so much content, too. It's funny. I got so much freaking content. We could do this.